par with the rest of white people, I decided to choose violence this morning. You see, I stitched a video yesterday where a man claimed that black people, making up 13% of the population, actually make up half of the problems in America. I pointed out a few things like serial killers, child rapists, and mass shootings, and never got a response, which isn't very surprising. But I also figured I would go ahead and throw this out there. Here are the number of arrests from the FBI's website based on demographic. White people, if you're talking about this and you're claiming that black people are the problem, you need to shut the fuck up.
Psalm chapter 64, verse 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. First off, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahawah Hakodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS who have taught us this word and teach us this word today. And I want to give a salutation unto the elect of the nation of Israel. This is the brother Yatazakbal with the GMS Nebraska cap. This is GMS Endeavor. And in this lesson, I want to go, I want to, speak a few words based off of this video that I played at the beginning, which is, is going into this precept here in Psalm chapter 64, verse 8. Esau's own tongue is falling upon himself. Now, there's many aspects of this precept, but this is one of the aspects where you have, even the quote-unquote regular citizens amongst Esau making videos and bringing out the truth of Esau's nature. You have a lot of videos of Edomites going into the history of this country and the different evil laws and legislations that Esau has made in this country against Jake, or the history of slavery. But in this example here, Esau is going into the true nature of crime in this country. You have a narrative that is painted that Jake commits the most crime, that Jake is the problem. But when you get into it, Esau, the so-called white people, they commit the most crimes. And the chart that he pulled up is the 2019 list that the FBI has of the arrests in the U.S. And there's 4.7 million of the arrests was so-called white people. The total number is 6.8 million, and 4.7 million of it was so-called white people. When you look at so-called white people versus so-called black people, the Esau is blowing Jake out the water with a lot of these crimes. When it comes to grape, the Esau has more. When it comes to aggravated assault, burglary, theft, violent crimes, fraud, Esau is doing a lot of the crimes in this country, yet that's not talked about. The narrative is painted that Jake is the problem, and it's all because of the hatred that Esau has against the Israelites. The scriptures speak about it, about that perpetual hatred that Esau has. That goes down to that goes down to all the Edomites within their nation. There's a perpetual hatred that is written in their DNA against our people. When we get Ezekiel chapter 25, verse 12, it says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, because that Edom had dealt against the house of Judah by taking vengeance, and had greatly offended and revenged himself upon them." And we know the history of how this country came about. We know how Esau brought bloodshed against the northern kingdom, against the native tribes, and stole this land from them. We know about the history of slavery, how this country was built up because of the work and the labor of Jake. And the way that Esau did it was in a very evil, murderous way. Yet Esau don't like to talk about that. They like to talk about, everything that Jake do. They like to paint Jake as if they're evil, as if they're the criminals. But the true criminals are Esau. The true niggers are Esau. And this list here is a prime example of that. This is why Esau is going to be destroyed. And so a couple points that I want to make. The first one, when we look at these arrests, we have to keep in mind that a lot of the arrests toward Jake are unjust, because as the scriptures say in Psalm chapter 10, verse 8, it says, "He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages, In the secret places, though he murdered the innocent, his eyes are privily set against the poor. So, what this is going into how you have a higher concentration of police activity in the hoods, in the poor places of the cities, where primarily you have Jake. And of course you're going to have more arrests, toward Jake, if that's mainly where the police is at. And even with that fact, Esau is still outnumbering Jake when it comes to these crimes. And so Salaki, I lost my train of thought. Oh, a point that I wanted to make, with this, the racism and the slavery that Jake is under today is more systematic. The system that is set up has Jake in a position to where a lot of Israelites, have to steal for what they need. They're in a desperate situation, and so you have to keep in mind that some of these crimes where Jake has with theft and these things is because they're in desperate and dire situations, but you have to be fair. You got a lot of wicked amongst Jake as well, though. You have a lot of 2/3 out here that's doing evil things, that's doing wicked things. You got YNs out here and Jake of the sort. But at the end of the day, they're taking after Esau's nature, because Esau's the one who's ruling this place, and as the scriptures say in Sirach, the inhabitants of the land are going to take after the ways of the king. Roughly paraphrasing, I'll grab it real fast. Sirach chapter 10 and verse 2, it says, "As the judge of the people is himself, so are his officers. And what manner of man the ruler of the city is, such are all they that dwell therein." So, Esau is the ruler over this place, and his vibration is in this place. That's why people are so selfish. That's why people are so all these different criminal things that Jake be into, these murderous ways, these selfish ways. They get that from Esau's vibration. Esau has the spirit of Cain upon him, that murderous, spiteful nature. And Jake has taken hold on those ways. And so a lot of, these wicked tendencies Jake has, they looking at Esau. Esau set that example. And so, Salakia, let me go to the next precept. Also, Salakia, I want to make the point. Well, we'll grab this precept, Psalm chapter 73, verse 5. Because even though Esau has all these arrests, a lot of these arrests Esau gets off for, or they'll get minimal time. A lot of these arrests, the amount of time or the punishment that Esau would get for that crime, Jake gets way more of a punishment, a way more harsh and severe punishment. And we see many examples of that. In the scriptures say in Psalm chapter 73, verse 5, it says, "They are not in trouble as other men. They are neither are they plagued like other men." Because this is Esau's kingdom. And because of the hatred that Esau has for our people within the law system, the quote-unquote law system, the system of quote-unquote justice, Jake is going to get it real bad, way worse than Esau would ever get it. So, this narrative and this whole system is catered towards Esau and set to bring Jake down. Even with the labels that is put on Edomites and that's put on Israelites, where you have, Jake called what? Black. When you get into the etymology of the word black, it's nothing but negative, poor qualities. If we get the etymology of it, when you get into black, is what? Fierce, terrible, wicked, without light, moral or spiritual, gloomy, unlucky, bad, malicious. But when you get into the word white, the etymology of that is morally pure, honorable, fair. And I'm just getting to the point of it. If you look up the etymology, you have to scroll down just a bit to read what I'm reading. But just getting to the point, white says gracious, friendly, favorable. So even the labels that's put on us is painting a narrative, you know. But the truth of the matter shows that Esau are the real criminals, you know. And you know, you got wicked amongst Jake as well, but Esau is the number one wicked upon this earth. The scriptures say that let's get it in Malachi chapter 1 verse 4. It says, whereas Edom saith, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. Thus said the Lord of hosts, they shall build, but I will throw down, and they shall call them the border of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord had indignation forever. You know, Esau is called the border of wickedness. Esau is the most wicked people on this planet. You know, so this this narrative that is painted about the way that Jake is, and how they're the number one criminals. They are the first people you think of when you think of crime and, you know, all these different things. The truth is coming out. Esau is being shown for who he really is. So with that being said, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahar Kodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS, and a salutation unto the elect. Shalom.